We also heard that the crew has experienced a few issues with the so-called lunar flu, but Mission Control was able to talk Christina Cook through how to fix it.
I'm a space plumber. I'm proud to call myself a space plumber. I like to say that it is probably the most important piece of equipment on board. So we were all breathing a sigh of relief when it turned out to be just fine. It was just an issue, I think, of sitting for a long time and needing a little time to warm up, a priming issue. But we did originally think that there could have been potentially something fouling up the motor, and luckily we are all systems go.
I don't even want to think about what family on the motor is like when you're in space. Joining us here to discuss all of this is Sarah Westall, Professor of Planetary Sciences at the Natural History Museum, and we're also joined by Guy, Technology College, and Roland Manthorpe. Good to have you both here. Sarah, really exciting, especially now as we're very firmly that next phase of leaving Earth's orbit and heading directly to the moon.
I know, it's so exciting, isn't it, that they're really heading there now. It's all happening. People are heading towards the moon for the first time in over 50 years. It's so interesting in terms of, we saw those pictures of them, talking about how Christina Cook was fixing the moon. And Roland, I wonder if we could talk a bit about the small human touches that make a mission like this really quite special. There's couscous and smoothies on the menu. moon, but it's those close conditions that mean this will either be successful or not in terms of personal relationships too.
Yeah, I mean, that must be partly how they select astronauts, right? Like the ability to get on in basically the space of 2 minivans for 10 days, doing something very intense and stressful. And also, I suppose is that having to do those manual fixes kind of brings home the importance of having humans there. Because in a sense, so much of the operation is actually done remotely from mission control, or it's being operated by algorithms that are running locally. It's not quite like kind of traditional flying in that sense. It is very machine-based, but you still need humans there for the unexpected stuff.
Well, exactly, Sarah, because I learned watching the takeoff that they're not just passengers on this. Of course, you've got Victor who's got flying skills and the others, but they do more than that. They do a lot of the engineering and science themselves. I mean, as Roland alluded to there, they're incredibly impressive individuals.
Oh, they absolutely are. They're so highly trained, and they've been preparing for years for this mission in all sorts of ways. Yeah, so you have to know how to fly a rocket, and you also have to know how to mend the toilet. It's quite a range of skills that you need, but most of all, you just need to be able to stay cool under pressure and, be able to keep those human relationships with your fellow astronauts as well. Those are kind of the most important skills, really.
Sarah, can you just talk us through, we're in that stage now, day 2 to 5 is their period where they're going to be heading towards that moment when they move around the moon. What's going on board? What are they doing? How busy are they? Just give us a sense of how they'll be getting through their day.
Yeah, so they're going to be spending a lot of their time doing a lot of work testing the rocket. They've got a whole series of things that they want to try to work on, see how the rocket behaves as it goes, and the spacecraft behaves as it heads towards the moon. And a lot of this is preparing for future missions to the moon as well. But for me, the most exciting bit will be when they actually get to the moon and we get those first kind of glimpses of what the lunar surface looks like from their point of view.
Yeah, I was going to say to you earlier, because tech is your sort of daily beat. And you think about the difference between tech now and tech the last time humans went to the moon. Even just the photographs you can take on an iPhone are going to be clearer than
They're going to have iPhones with them.
They're going to have iPhones with them.
Yeah, they're going to have they've all got an iPhone with them. They're going to wear it in there. Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose sort of thinking about the bigger picture, we know we can get there, but why can't we go there reliably? And I think in a way that the Apollo launches were so far ahead of their time, they didn't have the technological infrastructure that made this a reliable thing that you could do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I still think it's an open question. I would say whether now, you've seen like their launch cadence is really quite slow in some ways, isn't it? There are all these little difficulties if I could call it off once already. So I'm still thinking the jury's out of whether we can now do this in a regular way, because we're much closer, partly because of the technology that we have. It means that we can't just go there, we can go there and hopefully stay.
And Artemis 4 will be the goal to have that base.
I know, that's going to be so exciting having humans back on the lunar surface. So they're visiting a place that the Apollo astronauts didn't go to, so they're going to the lunar South Pole, which is a really geologically interesting part of the moon, where we think there might be water ice, which would be a fantastic resource for the astronauts to use, but also it could help us learn about how water came to be delivered in our solar system, how it moves around our solar system, how the Earth and the moon first got their water to make Earth habitable.
It was water, it was the organism.
That is the big question. So this was a question when the Apollo astronauts launched, and then they had to respond to when they came back, because it's still an open question whether there was life on the moon. But now I think with all of the knowledge coming out of the moon, we're confident that it is sterile, not least because it's an Earth body, it's been continuously irradiated with radiation, sterilizes everything.
Yeah. It's funny, you talk about them quarantine when they came back. I know the 4 up there now, they had to quarantine before they left, because going up there, carrying something illness would be almost catastrophic. Will they have to quarantine on all of that as well?
I don't think so, not at the time. But yeah, I don't know,
I don't think so either. Although I would like to ask you about this. My kind of we'll have robots up there that can go into all those dangerous and places. It'll be able to work continuously. And it's the same in my work, also having lots and lots and lots of machines that are slowly extending towards the moon.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I imagine that it will always be some kind of human-machine collaboration, especially
Yeah.
the science side.
Yes, I'm sure that's true. So my background is in geology, and we find that you look, in some ways, you still need human eye.
Hello everyone, like and subscribe.
Looking at different rock samples and kind of similarities and differences between them, but there's still something a little bit special that a human eye might be able to pick up something that the robot can't.
And to unclog the dust from there.
So yeah, humans are so adaptable and that they can do all of these tasks that we may not have foreseen before the mission went. And so they can be scrambled to do all sorts of things, whereas a robot at the moment may not have that flexibility.
Yeah, I think we need to get more robots